Good afternoon. My name is Scott Redler, Chief Strategic Officer at T3Live.com. Welcome to today's recap and look ahead.
观众朋友，大家好，欢迎收看今天的直击美股，我是主持人赵冰晶，在纽约向你问好。Scott, we're only 1 week away from the Fed decision, and the market seems kind of vulnerable. Yesterday at the Delivering Alpha conference, Carl Icahn said market's kind of dangerous. What is your view?
Well, market's always dangerous, but I do agree that at this point the technicals are a little faulty. He's been saying that for over 4 months. So back in May, he said it was dangerous. I think he said it earlier. You know, a lot of people have been saying how vulnerable and dangerous this market is, and we had a nice run. At this point, the technicals are giving me caution. That's why last week on Thursday, I said I'm the least long that I've been all summer, and basically on Friday, I went back to cash so I could trade the new ranges because the summer range broke. You look here at the S&P cash, and you will see that we did get a move above this 2-year range, okay, a few months back, and that's exactly where we came back to retest. Remember this post-Brexit move? Well, that showed a little commitment right here, and we had a breakout. So then finally, after a move up all summer, we broke hard when we lost the 8 and the 21-day moving average. So now we take a close look here, a close look to see what could be next. I've been posting this chart every day on Twitter, the intermediate and the micro, and at this point, okay, you have a retest of this broken area, a lower high, and now this is key. So we'll see what happens here. At this point, I think you need to have risk down. Some people might even be short. If we get below this and stay below this, your next spot is right here around 2107, and then the 200-day moving average right there. At this point, again, momentum left the market here. Now you're below the range, and we're vulnerable to see what happens here next. So, you know, take it day by day, especially if you're an active trader.
Okay. Apple had a nice run today. It actually hits a 9-month high. You think the rally will continue? Do you have a target price for it?
I have a system on how to buy and get involved in these things. You know, and I think Monday when it was testing the earnings gap, I said let's look to see if it holds. Sometimes Apple turns into a safety play, meaning you know when you don't know where to put your money, you can put it there because it's liquid. There's a dividend, there's a buyback. Then all of a sudden, boom! Apple held that earnings gap and gave you a nice day one. What do I mean by a day one? You come here, you look, here was the prior gap after earnings, and then it came below it, reclaimed it, and closed strong. And then you had a big gap up after, after this bar on that news that, accelerated orders, while the market was lower, showing relative strength. And now it broke above this. So at this point, if you were short term, meaning a short term active trader, I probably wouldn't be buying it. And it doesn't mean it's a short. If over time it proves that just say it could hold above this 112, this 110 half, I think the next target that could be feasible, is closer to 120, and right here it did poke its head above this prior resistance. Remember we talked about how good of a potential position for the swing count this could be on this gap up after earnings? Well, you had move number 1, a retest, and now you're showing some power. So Apple at this point is in the game strong. You just have to know your time frame. Also, real quickly, BABA, something that we've been all over as well. Okay, gave you a big gap up after earnings. Oh, look at that coincidence. Held higher, then traded above this and retested it and closed on the highs of the day. So in my humble opinion, at some point, I think this BABA will be making new highs. You just trade it as it comes, and it was a great trade for us when it broke above 81 and broke above 85 with our option play into earnings.
Okay, yeah, I remember yesterday Alibaba's Joseph Tsai also said it will be painful for Alibaba's short sellers.
Yeah, I thought he actually, spoke very eloquently, and I was happy to hear the way he enunciated, and I think that he gave confidence to shareholders because, Chanos, who's been shorted, he actually said, why don't you come visit and understand our business? You don't understand, what did he say, the media or the digital power?
Yeah, he invited Jim Chanos to come to Hangzhou to visit Alibaba's campus, the company, to see actually how the company runs. Anyway, let's take a look at oil. Oil has been acting kind of strange lately. This morning when the EIA number came out, it was actually went higher. Then later on, it closed 3% lower. What is your opinion?
I just think, it's in the middle of a range, and, above 45, it's a bit of a tailwind, below 45, a headwind. And we talked about pivots. We weren't sure what was going to happen today. It was weaker yesterday, tried to rally, the market tried to rally with it, and then it failed. What do I mean by failing? Okay, well, what I mean here is you have an interlevel or intermediate pivot, okay, that we could have went above and broke below. So now all of a sudden you have this downtrend which we're below. Now we're below the 21 day, and we're heading back to last week's low. So at this point, oil is not acting very well. And some would say that we're getting a little bit of a head and shoulders top pattern here, where you have a left shoulder, a head, a right shoulder, and this being the neckline. So if oil were to start breaking below 42 to 44, it'll raise a little bit of concerns there. So we shall see.
Okay. What do you think about Wells Fargo? It got investigated by the federal prosecutors.
Just another thorn in the side for the banks. Warren Buffett, one of his favorite names out there, and it seemed like it was the class of the sector and of the group, and all of a sudden 5,000 people are trying to hardball sell people and give them credit cards they didn't order. Not good. Well, anyway, Wells Fargo tried to bounce and it couldn't. It's probably a little bit of a black eye for the entire industry, and at least it happened before. Okay, or happened after it lost the 200-day. My rule is you do not buy and invest in swing trades if it's below the 200-day. So it was well below the 200-day, and now it's in a little bit of no man's land, so I would avoid it.
Okay, I guess that's what we have today.
Yes, and we have more every day. We try and connect the dots at this point. With a week away going into the Fed statements, we've discounted the market a bit. You can't, I feel at this point, say that 2120 is the low of September. I said that in the morning call today. Some stocks are acting better than others, and we'll figure out where we are come next week so we know whether something's priced in or not. But keep taking your trades, keep moving around. There's action out there. Traders are trading.
好的，以上就是今天节目的全部内容，感谢您的收看，我们下期再见。